This episode of Neo Reality Collective is brought to you by The Everyday Fan. Check out their content and a passionate group of content creators getting together to create content for the growing community of pop culture, fan base, fandoms, and especially sports such as football, basketball, baseball, professional wrestling, and MMA fantasy sport. Control your content and share your story around the world today.
The Neo Reality Entertainment brand expands with a relaunch of the Neo Reality Collective Pop Culture News Talk. Your host, Eric Brown, gives his insights and thoughts in the ever-expanding news world of comic books, professional wrestling, gaming, TV, and movies. Be sure to donate to the brand and keep up to date with additional content on YouTube channels such as Neo Reality Entertainment, NRE The Wrestleverse, and NRE Pop Culture Omniversa.
Welcome everyone to Neo Reality Collective. I am your host Eric Brown, and okay, we're kind of late on this, so these news pieces are a little outdated. So yeah, we got a lot to catch up on because I got busy, had to deal with a bunch of issues in personal life. Let's get right into things as we continue with this. Activision Blizzard. Oh god, them. So following their whole debacle they went through and their attempts to get out of said debacle, it has now been recently revealed that Chief Compliance Officer Francis Townsend has been stepped down. Prior to the billion, has chosen to step down, according to Bloomberg. If it goes through, we'll see regarding the whole, about the whole deal going on, and the lawsuits and what she was saying and what Bobby Kotick wrote in her name, which I'm sure is a whole bunch of things. But yeah, Frances Townsend is no longer with Chief Compliance Officer status, but instead she will serve as an advisor. She will serve as an advisor to the board and to the CEO, King Bobby Kotick, who rules with terror. And they've also recently been hit with another lawsuit. So, think of that what you will. Meanwhile, the critically acclaimed Werewolf by Night, the director came out and says that it includes lots of gore because no one said no. So, yeah, he basically was like, well, it was one of the things where no one said no, I just kept pushing. I knew that they were going to balance that with heart and humor and humanity and empathy and all that. And as long as we kept that balance in road with what I felt we needed some leeway to push on the horror side. Because this is a tribute to the Universal monster movies, the things that paved the way to the shared universe concept in film, kind of circling everything around. But yeah, they have this Werewolf by Night story that's very experimental, and a lot of people praised it and got a lot of popularity, and that they are part of the MCU. Though when I first heard that, I was like, is this a separate project? It could just be me just not hearing it, but I kept thinking it was at best adjacent to the MCU, but it was more like it's there, but not really gonna reference anything. Then I heard they did reference stuff, so yeah. Meanwhile, Tencent continues his mass expansion plans by planning to focus on buying a majority stakes mainly in overseas gaming companies as it continues to predicate China. So, yeah. They originally used to have minority stakes in gaming companies as a passive financial investor, because if you had just a little bit of a connection with a corporation in China, you get to sell your games in China. But now they want to see a new initiative to seek their own majority or even controlling stakes in companies outside of China. For people with knowledge of the matter, I've also said it may be primarily targeting gaming assets in Europe, so probably Ubisoft. So Tencent, which is the world's #1 gaming firm by revenue, is additionally looking at companies that are working on the metaverse, so probably they'll try and buy Facebook if that was even humanly possible, because they're pretty much the only company left, I think, that's like advocating for Meta. So, poor them. Meanwhile, in the most confusing of stories that came out, why is Horizon Zero Dawn getting a remaster upgrade that is practically a Last of Us Part 1 remake, and yeah. So, yeah, and the new report claims that this new version will add accessibility features, graphics modes, and quality of life improvements to the gameplay itself. Okay, then why not just make a patch? Like, make an upgrade patch. Like, heck, Assassin's Creed, as much as I don't want to give Ubisoft praise, considering what's come out about them in the last several years and it's been covered extensively, you can at least give them credit that when they started working with Microsoft a little bit more closely, they actually went out of their way to actually update and patch up and graphically enhance with the updates with the Assassin's Creed games such as Syndicate, Origin, Valhalla, and Odyssey. Even though those games were many years old, and they could have just easily just done the Sony route. But considering Horizon Zero Dawn had just released on PC back in 2020, it just looks pointless. I know what they're doing. They're doing it because Horizon's going to have to be on Netflix, and they're trying to renew interest. Okay, then just do what Cyberpunk did. Just update the game. Meanwhile, remember the Joker and the Batman, Barry Keoghan? Well, it turns out he did have an audition for the Riddler, and it's been online for years, but almost no one has seen it. Apparently, on his own Vimeo channel, it was filmed and taped a few years ago, uploaded on Vimeo for 3 years, but at the time of the writing of this article, it was under 3,000 views and just 2 comments. Oh man, it's just weird to see that. Like, he got to be Joker because everyone wanted to have Joker again, but he wanted to be Riddler. There's a cruel irony to that. And speaking of Sony stuff, PS5 has been jailbroken. It just took a few years. And people are already stalling PT on it because no one will let that go. Oh man. So Silent Hill demo PT was been added to the PS5 now jailbroken after it was removed from the store because Konami was horrible. And yeah, so yeah, accordingly, this jailbroken system is very limited. It only works currently on the running firmware of 4.03, a version that was released back in 2021 of October. The exploit may work for previous, but creator Spectre Dev says that it may need to be tweaked. Additionally, you can't install homebrew related code either. However, this will be viewed as the first step for fellow modders and hackers who will likely attempt to build on the entry point. While jailbreaking isn't necessarily illegal in and of itself, doing so can get your PSN network account banned and voids any warranty that could result in you rendering your entire console unusable. So good luck to the hackers. Especially since the console has been very in demand and right before Sony activates their price increases. So, good luck with that. Meanwhile, back with the Joker, Barry, he hasn't been invited back for Batman 2, but he says as soon as that call comes, I'm there. So, yeah. He's in a deleted scene. He's in the uncredited scene at the end of the film, but there is a deleted scene that was completed, which made people say, why wasn't this added into the film? I don't know why. Like, every time when I look at the Joker in that movie, it's like, he looks brutal. And not in the good kind of terrifying brutal, just brutally beaten. So, I don't know what to think about that when I saw it. I was like, it's interesting. It certainly leads to a lot of questions, but I don't know what they were doing, what they were thinking like that. Why? I think it's just because it's so early in Batman's career that already Joker's there, and we don't really get the origin story this time, even though for the most part we don't get the typical origin. He falls into a vat of chemicals, and now that Jeff Johns decided to say, the Joker's origin story is defined now, and we actually know his name, but we're not going to say it until DC says it. So, yeah, just one of those things. Anyways, James Bond is continually in this next plan, but the producers announced Michael G. Wilson revealed that has said that younger actors are out of the running for 007 because the character is a veteran and not some kid out of high school. So does that mean, since Daniel Craig is out, does that mean not Idris Elba, Tom Holland, is he out of it? I would think so. And they want to have this character play James Bond, the actor to play James Bond for a decade and keep that tradition going. Dwayne Johnson has thrown his hat in the ring, but apparently he's been ruled out. Idris Elba has proven to be a popular choice, even though he previously quelled rumors about it. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit problematic on that front. Meanwhile, because some people love Elden Ring a lot, the Twitch user named Miss Makia, I think I butchered that completely, and they shared it on Twitter, showed off an incredible, impressive accomplishment that took exactly 553 tries and across more than 15 hours. Beat Elden Ring using a dance mat at level 1. Killing a boss level that is considered the toughest boss in the game. So yeah, she beat this user. This user beat the boss at level 1 with a dance pad. And only used 4 healing flasks on the kill. Okay, I'll give her credit. That's pretty damn impressive. Meanwhile, Fandom. They've continued their massive expansion to the gaming industry as they have announced that they have acquired various publications. Fandom has bought Giant Bomb, GameSpot, Metacritic. Let's see, in the press release, it also involves GameFAQs, Comic Vine, Cord Cutters, News, and Screen Junkies. Hey, I know them. But, yeah. So, yeah, the public, this Fandom site has acquired all these studios for $50 million. Oh, yeah. So, however, so apparently they acquired these studios, and now they have collected the whole Triforce of everything, especially with the fall of G4 TV and Future Publishing getting rid of some of their swath of writers and editors, and Tencent gutted Fanbyte. Yeah. So, yeah. However, it was said that figure is correct. It suggests a colossal fall in value from the last sale of this collection of outlets in 2020, when Red Venture purchased the entirety of CNET from Viacom CBS for $500 million. So Fandom owns all this stuff now, and I am amazed, especially TV Guide Fanatical. So, yeah, that's kind of a big deal when you're hearing that they bought that. Especially, it reminds me when Embracer Group bought all those studios from Square Enix for $300 million, and it's like, wait, you bought multiple properties, multiple studios for only a mere $300 million? I would think that'd be like close to over $1 billion. At least. Like, you got Tomb Raider. So, yeah, I'm just as shocked as you. Meanwhile, Michael Waldron has been tapped to pen the upcoming installment for Marvel Studios' Avengers Secret Wars, following the success of Doctor Strange and Loki. So, after it broke that Jeff Loveness was on board to write Avengers The Kang Dynasty, and Dustin Daniel Cretton would direct Kang Dynasty as well from Marvel Studios, and now both films have locked up their writers, Head decided to add that Secret Wars will have its own director, though it's assumed all parties will be in touch while the films are in development. Okay, so basically Michael Waldron is basically being told by Kevin Feige, essentially, who's also stretched massively thinned, is being told, okay, Michael Waldron, so your first job is to somehow continue on the story from Kang Dynasty from another group of directors and writers, somehow make it even bigger than Secret Wars, than Kang Dynasty, Endgame, Infinity War combined, and you have to write it somehow balance out like hundreds of thousands of characters and a huge action set pieces. Yeah, think you can do it? I quit. Yeah, I probably would be like, I think I'm a little too much for this. Best of luck, Michael Waldron. You're really gonna need it. Especially since people have now been turning on the whole multiverse of madness film, saying it's not as good as it should have been. But we'll have to see. Meanwhile, Crystal Dynamics has released a survey asking fans if they'd like to see a return of the Legacy of Kain franchise. It shows the developers at least thinking the potential return of the beloved long-dormant series. The survey asks users what console they play on, if they heard or played Legacy of Kain before, and if they watched someone play the games on YouTube and Twitch. Speaking quite explicitly, it also asks how fans would feel if a new Legacy of Kain was announced, and if they preferred to see a remake, a remaster, a reboot, or a sequel, or what specific features they'd like the new game to include. They also asked fans how they feel about games featuring vampires in general, a concept that's been recently viral success in the likes of V Rising and Vampire Survivors. Now, this doesn't confirm anything, but, you know, after the Embracer Group bought everything, everything's up for grabs now. Meanwhile, Game of Thrones' House of the Dragon prequel continues to carry on a long-standing tradition of being too dark. Oh, no, not like dark, like the content is violent and horrible. No. They just mean it's visually dark because they say that's a creative decision. I don't know why that's considered a creative decision, but okay. Meanwhile, Ryan Coogler, and this sort of, when I heard this, I was like, that's it? The whole recast T'Challa thing, it's over, it's done. You can't justify recasting T'Challa protests. Because Ryan Coogler admitted that after the death of Chadwick Boseman, he almost did quit filmmaking after the death, saying, I was at a point when I was like, I'm walking away from this business. He told Entertainment Weekly in an interview, I didn't know if I could make another movie, period, let alone a Black Panther movie, because it hurt a lot. I was like, man, how can I open myself to feeling like this again? So, look, I get why people want to do that whole recast T'Challa. They want to see the story of Namor and T'Challa interact because that's a story that people want, because Hickman made it so great, and the stories beforehand were always so great. With Namor and T'Challa's complicated relationship, like they're Avengers, they're superheroes, but they're kings, and they kind of hate each other, and we have to somehow work together and somehow not try and kill each other. Like, that dynamic was all there. Heck, even Jason Aaron brought back the relationship, the complicated relations between Wakanda and Atlantis, where Namor even admits, yeah, we don't get along. Like, we're superheroes, we're part of the Avengers, but let's be real, we hate each other's guts. And even was like, I'll talk to Captain America, I'll talk to anyone, but I don't know if we can come to an agreement without them, keeping it from us trying to stab each other's heads off, cutting off each other's heads. So we need some defense, some mediators. So yeah, and yeah. And Coogler said, I was poring over a lot of our conversations that we had towards what I realized was the end of his life. I decided that it made more sense to keep going. And that's why I don't care about recast T'Challa stuff, because it's like, this is not, like, to fans, like, yeah, Chadwick Boseman was great as T'Challa in Black Panther, but you couldn't replace it because, one, it'd be weird for a lot of other people, and two, because this was Ryan Coogler and the team's friend. After that, it's like, you can't, and if you are hearing he was ready to walk away from all this, Ryan Coogler was ready to just like, I quit. I'm emotionally broken. I can't do this anymore. I quit. I'm done with this, man. Because his friend died, that's the moment the realization should have set in. We can't recast T'Challa. There's no way we should be demanding Marvel and Ryan Coogler to recast T'Challa. Sure, we could get T'Challa in the multiverse of madness stuff. We could get T'Challa in a multiverse setting where someone else plays him, but ultimately, main Marvel universe we can't replace him. It'd be uncomfortable for the most part, and kind of wrong. So, yeah, that it really took a turn when I heard that. So, we're gonna go on a quick break. We'll be back after these messages, and then we'll be here to finish things up. This is your host, Eric Brown. I'll see you all in a little bit. Take care. Alright, let's finish this whole thing off. And we have a lot more left to go through. I'm a glutton for punishment, aren't I? Xbox, because they've been facing opposition after opposition for the deal of the century with buying Activision Blizzard, they had to launch a website in order to showcase their vision for gaming, trying to showcase the benefits of the Activision Blizzard buyout. I mean, like, you could just say Bobby Kotick will be removed from power and therefore you can end it. Oh wait, they already said that, because so on the development side, they go ahead and make the standard stuff, such as the get games available to players more upfront, linear to fair marketplace rules, and provide greater flexibility in its payment system, while the industry overall will benefit from increased competition. They specifically point out that Sony and Nintendo remain the largest publishers. Also, there's Tencent and Embracer Group, but ignore them. They're not making consoles. They also want to emphasize the positive workplace culture, which is clearly a reference to the whole frat boy culture that's been developed there. And yeah, the acquisition has faced various scrutiny from the UK government, senators of the US, the City of New York, the Justice Department, and while stockholders in Activision Blizzard approve the deal, there's still much debate about the merits or potential problems. However, Phil Spencer says he remains confident, though, commenting in August that he feels good about progress, saying, I've never done a $70 billion deal, so I don't know what my confidence means. I will say the discussions we've been having seem positive. You forget, Phil Spencer, this is a corporate political world, and thus scrutiny is. Thus, you must prepare for two-faced people. So yeah, this has been a frequent thing about the benefits and problems with the Activision Blizzard stuff and the monopoly scare people have, even though there's like 5 other great big publishers out there, and there's all these smaller publishers that are still around, like Big Mode by Donkey, who's trying to showcase indie developers more. But yeah, there's still a lot of benefits and payouts with this, and we still gotta see the overall results, see if we'll get approved by various institutions. Meanwhile, PlayStation says it is not unthinkable that it could make more movies and TV shows with Bloodborne developer From Software after they had recently invested in them. So we could see adaptations of Elden Ring, Dark Souls, or Bloodborne. That could be in the cards. And yeah. Considering that Sony has a bit of a more Sony's recent investment, which was a 30% investment in them, I am concerned that Sony will order them to remaster other stuff and just after only 3 years, and all the drama going on with that. But yeah, let's move on from that concern and go on to Dune. We have found our leading Harkonnens. Dune, the Sisterhood prequel series, has found its leading Harkonnens, Emily Watson and Shirley Henderson. The pair has been added to the upcoming Dune prequel series into the show's leading roles. The 2 Harkonnen sisters fighting for humankind, according to Variety. The show is set 10,000 years before the events of Part 1 and follows the Harkonnen sisters as they combat forces that threaten the future of humankind and establish the fabled sect known as the Bene Gesserit. I am pretty sure I butchered that, but still. So, yeah, Dune's a very messy, complicated story and very dense in its narrative, so I can understand why people would have a hard time trying to adapt it. Like, even with the great Denis Valerian, I for some reason been watching House of the Dragon a lot. I was sure to do a review of season 1, hopefully. I was hoping to do episode by episode, but that never happened after only 1 episode, so maybe it's a standard policy. I do 1 episode or 1 part of the series, and then I just don't talk about the rest until later. Kind of a habit I have that I can't break. But even then, the director who made Blade Runner 2049, I keep thinking 7, about how it's a faithful adaptation, and, well, they have the story in 2 parts, though let's hope they have a massive amount of a director's cut that combines all the parts together into one seemingly big epic. But moving on, it's a very, like I said, dense story. It's going to be very complicated just to explain half of the things going on in the universe, but still. Meanwhile, on the launch day of Overwatch 2, which has significantly crashed itself over and over and over, even with its animated shorts being so beautifully directed, Overwatch 2 suffered DDoS attacks on launch day. And then they suffered a second one after they thought they worked on it. So, after they thought they got it fixed. So, yeah, I was having issues logging in, and there was a massive waiting time. So, yeah, I finally got back into it, and I legit suck at this. Oh, man, I have not played Overwatch in some time. Meanwhile, Sony has destroyed the fan base's expectations, mostly the tribalists, by telling them that live service games could launch day and date on PC, but others will take a year. Oh dear. Oh god, what will happen now with all those sad, pathetic bastards who go ahead and speak their tribalist nonsense? How will they ever stand this, that PS games will be on PC? They already freaked out enough as is with Spider-Man, so, yeah, I'm not gonna go into that stuff. Let's just say there was threats made, and I'm surprised the cops have not come to the guy's door. Yeah, but they talked about how live service games might be might be day and date, while regular games like say a God of War Ragnarok will probably take a year or so until they start to adapt their developers to the more day and date system, and then they can get that ready and optimization and yada yada yada. Meanwhile, scientists continue to go ahead and placate things that are not to be played with, such as supercomputer simulations that just gave us new explanation of how the moon was created. Oh, man. So, yeah. So, apparently they think that... So the widely agreed one that the moon was created with a roughly Mars-sized solar system body, which was dubbed Theia, collided with Earth roughly 4.5 billion years ago. This impact devastated both our planet and primordial Theia, and sent vast amounts of materials from both worlds hurling into Earth's orbit. Many of the previous theories surrounding the moon's formation suggest that it slowly consolidated from the stoop of orbital debris until finally the remainder of the material not accumulated by the satellite fell back towards Earth. So... yeah, they talk about the moon and everything. So, yeah. The authors of a new study found it unlikely that the material from Theia would have such a close match with that of Earth, and a new study, the team of researchers from a university in the UK used a Pebble Diarc supercomputer facility to run a range of simulations that could account for the creation of the Earth's moon, and... they ran hundreds of these high-resolution simulations while varying key ranges, yada yada yada, technobabble stuff. And yeah, let's move on. I cannot understand half of the things being said. Meanwhile, Elon Musk, after debating initially trying to buy Twitter, then get out of Twitter, and now he's finally said, yeah, I'll agree to buy Twitter. We're doomed. We are royally freaking doomed. So... guess we're gonna get that guy's reinstatement back on Twitter after what he did, so despair, everybody, just despair. Meanwhile, the United States Labor Board has found that Activision Blizzard withheld raises over unionization. All Xbox can say is that we'll fire Bobby Kotick and that will solve most of the problems, hopefully, and everyone else. Just say you're gonna fire Bobby Kotick, and I'm pretty certain I'm pretty sure everyone will be like, I'm in, let's form it. But yeah, the National Labor Relations Board has found that Call of Duty and Overwatch publisher Activision Blizzard withheld pay raises for some Raven software employees as a result of their unionization. And Activision Blizzard said no, saying it wasn't possible to offer raises due to illegal obligations. What legal obligations? Could you be more specific? So yeah, as reported by the Washington Post, the board's finding will likely fall in favor of the Raven employees in their ongoing negotiations with Activision Blizzard. The group of quality assurance workers became the first union of major North American video game company in May 2020 and filed for the MLB complaint in September. So they talked about how this is a preliminary win for the union at this point. It gives them a little bit of leverage as part of their tactics, hit them wherever they can and put pressure on the company in order to reach an agreement with them and stop violating the law. And Activision Blizzard continues to be the horrible place that it is, saying that due to legal obligations required under the NLRA requiring employees not to grant wage increases while an election was pending, we could not institute new pay initiatives at Raven. So they're saying that they wasn't able to offer employees a pay raise because they were in the midst of voting to unionize, even though the vote is over, and they used the citing of the Labor Workforce Exchange Parts Code 375 US 405 in 1964. The company was found to actively discourage union efforts, however, as they were sent emails to employees that read, "Please vote no." So your case is morally faulted. Meanwhile, CD Projekt Red is, because they're crazy and wanting to put the developers onto the brink, they have announced that they are working on not one, not two, but 3 Witcher games, a new Cyberpunk, and a new intellectual property. And in that separate release, they also announced that they are adding multiplayer to the majority of future projects. So we got 5 games out of this. So we got Project Orion, a codename for the next Cyberpunk game, which will take place further. The franchise further continue harnessing the potential of this dark future universe. This will be developed by a brand new CD Projekt studio set up in the US. Polaris, a codename for the next installment of the Witcher series games, which they were already announced in pre-production. It is the beginning of the new saga, saying they aim to release 2 more, creating a new AAA RPG trilogy. The full trilogy is intended to be released in a 6-year period. And then there's a Canis Majoris. I'm pretty sure I butchered that. I am sorry. A full-fledged Witcher game separate to the new Witcher saga, starting with Polaris. It will be developed by an external studio headed by experienced developers who have been working on past Witcher games. It's not clear what current developer is currently at the moment. Cyrus, the codename for the game developed by the Molasses Flood, set in the Witcher universe and created with the support of CDPR. It will differ from the past productions, offering multiplayer gameplay on top of a single-player experience, including a campaign with quests and a story. And we got Handar, a codename for the third entirely distinct IP, created from scratch within CD Projekt Red. The project is in the early stages of the creative process, which means we are not developing any game yet, but working exclusively on the foundation of this new setting. So, yeah. So they have 5 games in development, one of which is a new intellectual property. So, yeah. And they seem to be moving more and more away from their own engine and moving to the Unreal Engine in order to make it easier. But we'll be expecting additional announcements soon on that whole thing. But don't worry, that's not the end of Cyberpunk as a news spring. There's actually another report about them. Apparently, Cyberpunk is also going to have hundreds of developers working on it, because of course they are. Man. But I'll get to that in a sec. So, The Witcher 4, aka Polaris, is at least 3 years away. And according to the studio president and joint CEO Adam, I'm not pronouncing that last name. So, for Polaris, they say we are preparing technology. This is the first project to be released in the new engine, Unreal Engine 5, so there is a need for some extra work making this technology. For this project, we want to make sure, for sure, we need to some extra effort to deliver. Especially after Cyberpunk 2077's disastrous launch. I feel sorry for you, man. Meanwhile, CD Projekt Red sheds more light on the Witcher spin-off games, definitely not a smaller game, saying that HAL is definitely not a mobile game despite being targeted at a broader audience. So yeah, following its announcement of the 4 new Witcher games, CD Projekt Red Senior Vice President of Business Development, Mikhail, I'm not pronouncing that last name either, alongside the studio president, shed some light on what Cyrus would be during their investors call, saying it's not a smaller game and definitely not a mobile game. It's more like, if I had to take the best guess, this is my best guess, it's like Gears of War Judgment. It's a big game, but it's still not on the level of the trilogy it's based off on. That's my best guess, at least. Man. So, take of that what you will in my opinion, but yeah. So, Cyberpunk Orion is being developed with hundreds of developers in mind. He expects about the CD Projekt Red CFO, who I am not going to pronounce his name at all because that would be impossible for me, says he expects 350 to 500 developers will be necessary to create the game for their new American-based studio. Though talents from his Polish studios will be assisting with the game, including Cyberpunk's lead quest designer, who is moving to Boston for it, the Vancouver studio only had around 12 members when it was acquired by CD Projekt Red last year. Therefore, it appears that the company needs to hire a few hundred new staff to hit the 300 500 developer quota, and is already advertising dozens of positions on its website. So they said that they will. The North American studio will consist of teams working from Boston and the team working from Vancouver. The project will also be supported by developers from Poland. So, yeah. Good luck, Cyberpunk. Let's hope you don't botch like you did the first time. It took years to actually get into a stable state. Meanwhile, Bloober's team, The Medium, is becoming a TV show. Okay. That's a thing now. Meanwhile, the Infinity War cast members revealed that they didn't know they were getting blipped until the day they filmed it. Scarlet Witch's actress Elizabeth Olsen revealed. Oh man, during the interview with Variety, she revealed that, though they didn't know what was going to happen that night. They didn't know who was going to be removed, who was going to be cut back. But, man, she didn't know she was blipped away till they shot it. So that was told to us that day. And, oh man. Saying it was shocking for them when they were told this, but they didn't know. We thought the movie ended differently. Oh dear. I feel so sorry for you. Meanwhile, Bayonetta 3 has been very problematic in its development, such as the actress who voiced Bayonetta kind of talked about how she was not getting industry standard payment and was only given 4K offer. Now they just went ahead and signed Jennifer Hale to take her place because they could just do that, they think. But yeah. Everything got dramatic when that came out, so yeah. Also, remember how we got Transformers joining Magic the Gathering? Well, scratch all that. Final Fantasy and Assassin's Creed are joining the Gathering. I'm just as stunned as you are. So, it's like... They even had Fortnite, Street Fighter, and an upcoming Warhammer 40,000 set coming. So, this is becoming the crossover to end all crossovers. Meanwhile, after years of wondering what the hell was taking so long, Disney Plus finally launched on a PlayStation 5 app with 4K HDR support. Turns out that the Disney Plus app that was actually on the PS4 was the one running on the newer console. So everything was capped to 1080p resolutions, whereas the relaunch was designed natively for PS5 and now supports 4K high dynamic range playback across the server's growing catalog of titles. Well, finally, I'm glad for them. I just watch it on my Apple TV, so really I have no... Plus, I don't have an HDR TV, save for one, but I use that as a studio for my Mac studio. As you can tell, I am very spoiled. Meanwhile, remember Rust and all that controversy that happened with Alec Baldwin? Well, don't worry. After the extensive investigation of the FBI, who were busy dealing with another investigation with someone that Alec Baldwin played in real life and for SNL, Alec Baldwin has been revealed to have been the guy that pulled the trigger. I am trying to wonder why the hell that took so long for them to realize, hey, you think the guy who fired the gun actually was the one that fired the gun? Even though he confessed it was a massive accident and he didn't know it was a real gun and not a prop like he thought. Shouldn't that have been your biggest priority? You wasted 10 months of how much taxpayer money to figure out how the it took for you to realize, after extensive 10-month investigation, we can confirm Alec Baldwin pulled the trigger. You are all dumbasses. Someone is dead. But moving on. So, The Rings of Power I've heard hasn't been doing well. I haven't watched it yet. But Netflix and HBO have reportedly did pitch their own Lord of the Rings TV show along with Amazon. Netflix and HBO naturally did not get the victory, but according to Hollywood Reporter, HBO pitched a remake of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but the Tolkien estate were uninterested in doing a do-over. As for Netflix, they pitched for several shows, including a Gandalf series and an Aragorn drama, saying how they took the Marvel approach and that completely freaked out the estate. But ultimately, Lord of the Rings of Power went to Amazon. Now, I don't think we should remake the original trilogy because we already have enough remakes. But if HBO had gotten the rights, then that would have meant they had a dominion over all fantasy genre series, essentially. That's saying something. So, yeah. And Embracer Group has their own plan in mind, but we'll have to see where that goes. Meanwhile, Hitman 3's freelancer mode has been pushed back to 2023, a roadmap had revealed. So they released a full roadmap for the long-awaited mode, which includes further progress updates and closed technical tests that arrived in November, saying that they decided to change things up and basically do a do-over. It was previously due to be released in the spring, but was delayed to May as a result of previous testing that led to IO Interactive to decide that more time was needed to improve it. Okay, wait, that's the thing. First impressions are important. So yeah, I agree. Delay the mode before you release it, or else, you lose everybody. Also, for those who are interested, Horizon Forbidden West soundtrack is getting a physical release, saying that with pre-orders already live on Amazon, especially a deluxe comprehensive collection of over 130 soundtracks that will be available on March 24th, 2023, and will cost you about $170. Including one that is also available at PlayStation Gear with an exclusive t-shirt, but currently listed at $180. According to the PS blog post, the deluxe edition will feature an extensive 6-disc set covering the breadth of the musical landscape of Forbidden West, from Chronos Serenity to a plain song to the heightened combat against Tide Rippers. Also, they're also getting an essential vinyl and CD collections of the soundtrack. Will also be available by the end of the year. These will each cost $40 and are currently only available to pre-order at PlayStation Gear. So if you want to check out Horizon Forbidden West's awesome soundtracks, you'd be more than likely to. Also, Need for Speed Unbound has finally been revealed, and according to many, it looks very different from previous entries. I never played Need for Speed, so I have no say on this. Also, in tragic news for the movie industry, because Warner Bros. Discovery has no sense of moral ground, they decided, okay, Miller apologized to everyone, so we're bringing them back for reshoots, even though their apology was the worst apology in the history of anything, and made Logan Paul seem more genuine, which is saying a lot. So, yeah, considering Miller has been multiple charges against him, has had pissed off the state of Vermont, Hawaii, Massachusetts, and North Dakota, and you're trying to wonder how you keep having this, and they just say, oh, well, they're suffering from mental health issues, and deliver an apology. Except the apology was so stupidly fake that I did not believe it, saying this: I want to apologize to everyone that I have alarmed and upset with my past behavior. I am committed to doing the necessary work to get it back to a healthy, safe, and productive stage of my life. Okay, what about the other people? You know, the ones you victimized, insulted, threw a chair at, grooming minors, and other serious misconduct. Like, you apologize to everyone you've alarmed and upset, but what about the people you've physically hurt? You've emotionally hurt? Nothing? Nothing? Okay, thank God I'm not watching this. Meanwhile, The Legend of Vox Machina, yeah, an animated adaptation of the popular tabletop RPG series, has been renewed for a third season at the New York Comic Con. Oh yeah, New York Comic Con happened, so there's a lot of news on that front. Meanwhile, Google has announced the Google Pixel Watch, Google Pixel 7, 7 Pro, tablet. I have no say in this matter, so I don't care. But now we get to something far more serious. New York Comic Con happened, and they have announced, and DC and Marvel have brought their big guns. So, while there's an event going on currently with Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, they decided, nah, we're gonna spoil everything and reveal that there's gonna be another event heading into January, Lazarus Planet. A new Cataclysmic event for 2023 by Mark Waid, taking place in the fallout of the Robin vs. Batman miniseries and following events from what happened in Batman, Superman World's Finest, featuring the Lazarus Planet and the return of multiple characters such as Electric Blue Superman. Batman finally gets powers, Martian Manhunter goes crazy with Doomsday on him, we see the very fabled Red Canary showing up even though she only made a cameo appearance. Power Girl apparently is under control by Omen, who's lost her mind. A mysterious trio claiming to be the resurrection siblings of Raven. Dreamer is going to have visions to guide the heroes to the path of victory. Mercy Gray survives the transformation she undergone. Martian Manhunter has a psychic link with Doomsday. And a new city hero boy hope to commune with Gotham in time to save it. How far will the question go to chase the lead across the transformed Gotham City? Will the flame storm burn out yet another horrific host? And what does DC's Monkey Press have to do with all of this? So this is going to lead to a Lazarus Planet Alpha, Assault on Krypton, We Were Once Gods, Legends Reborn, Next Evolution, Dark Fate, and Omega. So it's more like a series of one-shots all tied in together. Got it. No tie-ins, nothing. Dark Crisis on Infinite Earth is not done yet, and they already have another event planned. Got it. But this is the fabled DC Magical Crisis that was reported. God damn it. Anyways, DC Universe Infinite Ultra was finally released as part of their next big subscription plan, saying how they involve new comics available 1 month after release in comic shops, an expanded catalog of Vertigo, Black Label, and collected editions exclusively available to Ultra subscribers starting in mid-November. Ultra subscribers will receive a Death of the Superman 30th Anniversary Deluxe Edition featuring an exclusive cover by Ivan Reyes while supplies last, and DC graphic novels and Mad Magazine titles will be available across all tiers. So, yeah, they're re-releasing, and they've also made all the new comics they released now returnable. All DC comics are now returnable, and hijinks ensue. Also, during the event of New York Comic Con, they announced that the new era of Superman starting in January will now include the Superman family, featuring 3 epic stories in Action Comics by Philip Kennedy Johnson, Dan Jurgens, and Lee Williams, the Superman Ongoing Monthly by Joshua Williamson and Jamel Campbell to begin in February, and John Kent takes on Ultraman Adventures of Superman John Kent from Tom Taylor and Clayton Henry in early 2023, as the Superman Son of Kal-El series is immediately cancelled after 18 issues. Damn. But, yeah, and also Power Girl's gonna finally have her role again, so she seems to be rejoining the Superman family after an extended hiatus and a temporary disappearance from the timeline after the events of New 52. But I do have good news. Marvel also brought their own games to the punch. So take of that what you will. They have announced that the Women of Marvel panel has announced that they will have an anthology for 2023, a one-shot, Rogue and Gambit, a limited series written by Stephanie Phillips and art by Carlos Gomez, on sale on March 2023. X-23 Deadly Regenis, this a 5-issue limited series by Erica Saltz and art by Edgar Salza, on sale on March 2023. A new series by Betsy Braddock, Captain Britain, and was introduced with a special video for the audience written by Teeny Howard, and the series is penciled by I can't pronounce his name, but he's done Marvel and DC crossover covers, so they're awesome. Meanwhile, they also released X-Men Unlimited and Marvel's Voices, Love Unlimited, Wolverine, Avengers Unlimited, Marvel Unlimited tests. You're part of that Marvel Unlimited subscription thing. So yeah, hijinks ensue, everybody. Hijinks ensue. Also, Marvel has mapped out their new roadmap for the next year, such as Avengers Assemble in November 2022, Dark Web December 2022, The Sins of Sinister January 2023, Captain America Cold War in 2023 of spring, Summer of Symbiotes 2023 of summer, and the next big phase in the X-Men called The Fall of X, summer 2023. What was that last part? So yeah, Avengers Assemble. Visionary writer Jason Aaron brings his near 5-year run on Avengers to an incredible end, joined by artists Javier Guerin, Aaron Kunder, and Brian Hitch. Aaron will tie together his works throughout Avengers Forever, and Avengers of 1 million BC, in the multiverse-spanning saga that sees the Avengers go to war with an unprecedented army of villains to prove why they are the Earth's mightiest heroes of all the Earths. Dark Web features Ben Reilly and Madeline Pryor. Oh yeah, Ben Reilly went to the dark side, so have hijinks on that. They prepared their own Dark Web to unleash their revenge on Spider-Man and the X-Men. The crossover will also include one-shots featuring Spider-Man, X-Men, Venom, Ms. Marvel, and more in a series of Titan issues in limited series, along with Mary Jane and Black Cat. Meanwhile, Captain America Cold War will be a pivotal chapter in the 80-year history of Captain America, and the espionage-filled action thriller will be the culmination of various plot threads introduced, including the rise of the Outer Circle, Nomad's return, a brewing conflict with Wakanda and White Wolf, and Bucky's new persona and mission. So Sam Wilson and Steve Rogers are currently sharing the title, because at this point they just accept that. And the Summer of Symbiotes is suns out, tongues out, spinning out of titles like Venom, Carnage, and Red Goblin comes a slew of new symbiotic stories. Caring for the return of the old faces, the debate of new symbiote heroes, and a shining ship for the iconic symbiote stars, it's the season of symbiotes insanity. We just recently, about a year or so back, just got done with Null and the King in Black event. You would think he would take a break with more symbiote events. And now we talk about something serious. The Fall of X. The X-Men hoped Krakoa would last forever. Time to find out if they were right. So it seems we might be either getting the end of the Krakoan era, or the war that will lead to near Krakoan destruction and lead to the birth of a new Krakoa, as hinted in Destiny's future visions in Immortal X-Men. But the Sins of Sinister. So, after months of teasers, Sins of Sinister will be an all-new X-Men epic that was just announced during Marvel's Next Big Thing panel at New York Comic Con. The crossover begins with Sins of Sinister #1, a giant-sized one-shot by visionary Marvel Immortal X-Men creative team writer Kieran Gillian and artist Lucas Rennick. After that, witness the current Krakoa era crumble and enter the new Marvel age brought by Sinister's corrupt machinations. So basically, this is Age of Apocalypse, but led by Mr. Sinister. Immortal X-Men, X-Men Red, and Legion of X will be washed away in the chaos, transformed into 3 limited series: Immoral X-Men, Storm and the Brotherhood of Mutants, and the Nightcrawlers. Series writers Kieran Gillian, Al Ewing, and Cy Spurrier will pen their respective new titles, joined by artists Paco Medina, Pat Zeitzer, and I'm trying to pronounce this last name, but I couldn't. Tackling 3 separate time periods, each superstar artist will draw an issue out of the 3 titles as consecutive issues propel the Marvel Universe further and further into the dark future, dramatically escalating the stakes with each startling time jump. 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years. The power of Nathaniel Essex will seek to stretch beyond the limits of time and space. All 3 writers will continue their current story plans out to the X Universe shattering finale one-shot, Sins of Sinister Dominion #1. So, yeah, we're getting the Age of Apocalypse, but with Mr. Sinister at the helm. I wish you the best of luck. Meanwhile, we get a new series with Bloodline, the Daughter of Blade, a limited series by 1 through 1-ish that's set to come out in February 1st and last for about 5 issues. Cool. Meanwhile, Bishop War College sends Krakoa's best back to class as he trains the next generation of the War Captains to take over the mantle of the War Captains of Krakoa. So, Bishop, good luck with teaching kids. Meanwhile, there's going to be a Marvel Voices Wakanda Forever one-shot coming in February 2023, probably to coincide with the post-release of Wakanda Forever. Awesome. So, this is part of their Marvel Voices initiative. Wakanda Forever. And last but not least, to end this massive episode off, Silver Surfer Ghostlight debates a new Marvel hero years in the making. The Silver Surfer Ghostlight, John Jennings and Valentine Delendo will introduce a Marvel superhero who has been in the making for 54 years. That's a bold statement. It will be another limited series lasting for 1 through 5, and it will start on February 1st. We'll have to see where this new character is. Ghostlight. Let's hope you live up to 54 years of history. But yeah, that's about it for all the episodes we got for this week. All the news pieces. We'll be looking forward to talk to you guys again. Sorry for the delay. I had some issues going on and work-related issues. I'll be back with that later down the road. But for now, we'll see y'all again next time. This is Neo Reality Collective, hosted by your host, Eric Brown. I'll see y'all again next time. And last but not least, stay tuned for this outro and ad piece, and we'll see y'all again. Take care, and keep on popping.
Be sure to donate to the brand and keep up to date with additional content on YouTube channels such as Neo Reality Entertainment, NRE The Wrestleverse, and NRE Pop Culture Omniversa.